Number 10. Andrew HRYB. Andrew HRYB, a 36-year-old man, died during a skiing accident in a resort in Vermont. HRYB was not new to the sport, so he must have felt confident about his abilities during his visit to the STOWE Mountain Center. He decided to ski off the trail, enjoying the scenery. The victim was accompanied by his brother, Alexander HRYB, who was an avid skier as well. For some unknown reason, HRYB approached the cliff far from the main track. The precipice was over 2 miles away from where most skiers were enjoying the slope. HRYB slipped off the side of the cliff, dropping to his death. The surviving sibling assured investigators that nothing seemed off until the fall. Police working on the scene suspect he must have become disoriented and fell 220 foot to his death. Number 9. Michael Schumacher. Michael Schumacher is undoubtedly among history's best-known Formula One drivers. He's the only one to have won 7 world championships, and he still holds several records. He was statistically considered the greatest driver in the sport at the time of his retirement. In December of 2013, Schumacher was skiing alongside Mick, his son, in the French Alps. He decided to go off track and unfortunately fell, hitting his head on a large rock. Though he was wearing a helmet, he still suffered severe head trauma. He would likely have died on the spot if he hadn't been wearing protective gear. Schumacher was airlifted to Grenoble Hospital. At the medical facility, he underwent 2 different surgeries while being placed on a medically induced coma. Though he survived the accident, he suffered from lasting and severe consequences. He eventually recovered consciousness but remained wheelchair-ridden and unable to speak. The former driver also suffers from additional neurological problems. It can be traced back to several centuries ago in what is now known as China. Its most well-known variation comes from the Scandinavian culture. In fact, the name ski comes from an Old Norse word that can be translated into split piece of wood. Initially, one ski was shorter than the other. This allowed the person practicing this activity to slide on one foot while using the other to kick. The shorter piece of wood was usually wrapped in animal skin to help create friction. Until the 19th century, skiing was mostly used as a means of transportation. It wasn't until the mid-1800s that people began to enjoy it for recreational purposes. There are currently 2 distinct types of skiing, ALPINE and NORDIC. ALPINE skiing is the most commonly known style, and it's also referred to as downhill skiing. Ski lifts are used to take people to the top of the slope as many times as necessary. The practitioner's feet are attached to both skis through fixed heel bindings on both the heel and the toes. NORDIC, on the other hand, only restrains the feet at the toes and allows for greater freedom of movement. This style is mostly practiced for jumping and within the overall practice of cross-country skiing. Number 8. CORY JOHNSTON. Dr. CORY JOHNSTON was celebrating his 47th birthday on February the 25th, 2020. He decided to go skiing on the big day. His wife Pippa was planning a surprise party for him, but she ended up having to cancel the preparations abruptly. Johnston was discovered at 9,400 feet on Mount Hood by 2 climbers. The doctor had been skiing and had fallen from a cliff, though it's unknown the exact height he'd plummeted from. He was a lover of outdoor sports and was considered to be an experienced skier. As of the release of this video, the police haven't been able to determine the reason for his accident. Though he was still alive when emergency services were called, Johnson died before he could be airlifted to a hospital. The doctor was survived by his wife and 2 young sons. Number 7. MINA CHUNG. MINA CHUNG, a Pflaum Eye Institute surgeon, was on a trip through Italy when she suffered a fatal accident. The 51-year-old was specialized in pediatric ophthalmology, and she'd traveled to Italy in order to attend a conference. During her off time, she decided to go skiing in Cortina d'Ampezzo, along with her husband Eddie Lynn and another couple. She booked a guided tour of the mountains. However, tragedy struck when she fell off the side of a cliff. The drop was over 2,000 feet, so the chances of survival were very limited. Chung died before the emergency helicopter could arrive and take her to the hospital. Number 6. Jason Varnish. Though the most common deaths in skiing trails are due to head injuries or falls, that wasn't the case with Jason Varnish. Instead, he died on the ski lift in a freak accident no one saw coming. It was initially reported that Varnish fell off the chair due to an unknown reason. At first, coroners believed his coat had gotten caught in the railing and rolled over his neck, thus asphyxiating him. However, it was later determined he died from positional asphyxia when his clothes got caught on the airlift mechanism and pulled back. The lift was examined by police officers and specialists, but it was deemed an unfortunate accident. 24 hours after the fatal incident, it started operating normally again. Number 5. FREDERIK of Denmark. Not even royalty is exempt from skiing accidents. This became evident when Crown Prince FREDERIK of Denmark was hurt while enjoying the slopes at Verbier in Switzerland. He was visiting the area alongside his wife and children. The couple and their 4 children were staying at an exclusive resort that welcomes royalty from all over the world. Prince FREDERIK, aged 51, was skiing when he was hurt in an unknown accident. The details of the incident weren't reported. However, he required surgery to his shoulder, which was performed at Copenhagen's Rigshospitalet. The procedure was successful, and the Crown Prince made a quick recovery. Considering that a professional skier can reach speeds of 150 miles per hour, skiing can be an incredibly risky sport. Most cars' speedometers don't even reach that high. That being said, an average downhill race would reach a speed of 40 to 60 miles per hour. If you were involved in a car accident at those speeds, you'd have a 52% risk of serious injury inside the vehicle. This number rises to almost 100% fatality risk as a pedestrian being struck. Considering you would lack the protection a vehicle provides, the chances are not exactly in your favor. There are different possible accidents that might occur while skiing. These include collision, ski lifts, and falls. Most common injuries involve broken limbs, sprains, and fractures, as well as cuts and bruises. As of the recording of this video, there is an average of 42 deaths per year related to skiing accidents, according to the National Ski Areas Association. This number used to be higher before using helmets became a common practice. It's estimated that 2 in every 1,000 skiers will suffer from a severe accident while skiing in most given areas. This number does vary depending on the terrain's complexity. Number 4. NATASHA Richardson. NATASHA Richardson was Hollywood royalty. She was the daughter of an accomplished actress and a famous director. She achieved success both on the big screen and in theatre, winning a Tony Award in 1998. Richardson had married actor Liam Neeson in 1994, and they remained together till her death. She was somewhat of an adventurer and had decided to take a ski lesson at the Mount Tremblant Resort in Quebec. During a beginner's class back in 2009, she fell down and hit her head hard. The 49-year-old actress was not wearing a helmet. Since she seemingly felt fine, Richardson refused treatment. This would end up being a terrible mistake. 3 hours later, she reported experiencing a terrible headache. She was rushed to the hospital, but there was nothing to be done. She died 2 days later. The cause of her death was reported as an epidural hematoma. Number 3. Unnamed man. A skier whose name was not reported died at the Eldora Mountain Resort in Boulder County. Though there were no other riders around, the man collided with a tree near the trail. The incident happened around noon. Emergency services were called, but the man's injuries were too severe. Before the helicopter could arrive, the skier was already unresponsive. He was pronounced dead at the scene. Though an investigation was launched, no foul play was discovered. As of the making of this video, the victim's name has not been released. Neither was the reason why the man had collided with the tree. There are several security measures that can be taken to avoid ski accidents, or at least minimize the injuries after one. The chances of collision increase exponentially the darker it gets. Due to this factor, it's recommended to stop skiing before the sun sets and avoid continuing if the skier feels tired or extremely cold. Wearing the proper equipment is the key towards avoiding severe injuries. Most serious wounds occur when a person going at high speed hits their head. Helmets play an important role in reducing the damage that a person might sustain. Behaving inappropriately in the ski lift is not recommended, as falling off great heights is likely to happen under such circumstances. Always follow the rules laid out by the location's management. It's also vital not to attempt to ski at a trail that exceeds the practitioner's skill level. Properly checking the equipment's maintenance and condition should never be skipped. Providing enough space while overtaking another skier and checking the slope before setting off are among the most basic rules of conduct in skiing. Skiing off track is risky, so it's vital to remain within the set routes unless you're familiar with the terrain. Number 2. Rodney Smith. Rodney Smith was the president of American Outdoor Products, a company that focuses on sustainability and corporate responsibility. While skiing at Eldora Mountain close to Boulder, Colorado, Smith suffered a severe accident. He collided with a tree and sustained serious head trauma. The businessman was airlifted via an emergency helicopter and rushed to the Boulder Community Hospital. The father of 2 was unconscious when he was rescued, but he was still breathing. It's believed he'd managed to survive at first because he was wearing a helmet. 2 days later, the skier ended up succumbing to his injuries. Emergency services weren't called immediately, as Smith was alone when the accident occurred. It's unknown whether or not he would have been able to survive if the emergency services had arrived sooner.
Before we move on, official They Will Kill You merchandise is now available at theywillkillyou.com. It's out of this world.
Number 1. William Laws. A native of Wymondham, had decided to take a vacation in the French Alps. He wanted to go skiing at Les Deux Alpes and headed over to a well-known resort. It was reported that while skiing down a run, Laws crashed against a snow barrier on the Piste de Fille. These barriers are made out of wood and are placed to keep the snow from being blown away by the harsh winds. This specific slope was recommended only to advanced skiers. The victim's skill and experience in this sport weren't described by the police. Though Laws was wearing a helmet, he still suffered from severe head trauma. The police and an ambulance were called to the scene, but the crash victim died moments after they arrived. Doctors attempted to resuscitate Laws, but it was already too late. Laws' body was expatriated back to Britain. An investigation into the circumstances surrounding his death is ongoing as of the recording of this video. Thanks for watching. Would you rather ski down a steep mountain with no poles or drive a car with no brakes? Let us know in the comment section below.